But I wanted to start. We have to start because it's, he bottled it, and didn't bother doing a watch along on Saturday. He said he went to the game, but I don't know if I believe him. But LB, Palace, the underdog story. They beat you at Wembley, 2 FA Cup final defeats on the bounce for City and Pep. Pep, the first manager ever to suffer that that record, not humiliation, that record. How you feeling, mate?
Oh, lads, it's been a tough year. It has. It's been a tough year, but it is what it is. You got to have a little bit of a dip, haven't you? You can't just win everything every year. You know what I mean? Laughing at everybody else. Do you know what I mean? I forgot what it's like to feel cut. And this week and this season has been a humbling experience. This week has been a humbling experience. And listen, I'll hold my hands up, boys. I'll take the cooking because I've been dishing out cookings for the last 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? So I accept it. I hold the L. We are trash at the moment. Can't score against Palace. Can't score against Southampton. We're struggling everywhere on the pitch. Pep's tactics are weird. The players ain't good enough. Then we hear about Verts. That's another L. Just holding L's on the daily. I can't lie. So it is what it is. Feel free to cook me, boys. I'll take it like a man, and then we can cook Chelsea in it.
We gave you we can cook Chelsea. We gave you a cooking last night on my show, to be fair, and I must say you took it well. And I like to have a little bit of awareness of where my club's at as well. And I think Terry is one of those guys that do the same. Having said that, Terry can actually win a trophy this season, and me and LB can't. However, I'll say this: I actually genuinely do. That is wild,
mad.
That was never something I thought would have been the case. I'll say this: I'm not going to cook Man City. They've had the best part of a decade where they've destroyed most people's lives. And if I'm honest with you, they haven't really ruined they ruined a couple of seasons last season, maybe the season before, but I didn't expect to win the league on one of them. And last season, it really did annoy me. However, they haven't destroyed my last decade like they have Liverpool's. But I wonder where they go next. I'd love to get both your thoughts on this. LB's especially because he's a City fan, but Terry's as well, because I don't know that it is going to be a quick fix now. I thought at the start, yeah, do you know what? A couple of players are a little bit old now. They'll just refresh it and they'll go again. The recruitment's been bad for quite some time, to be honest. And because the players were so good in and around it, and I'm talking Foden of last year, KDB of the last few years, David Silva's of his kind, Bernardo Silva's of his time, Rodri. We've got these players that we've looked at, and you think, yeah, it doesn't really matter about the Dokus and the Grealishes so much. It doesn't really matter who you've got up top. Doesn't really matter at the back because they're all pretty good and all kind of versatile. Now it's got to that kind of, the recruitment needs to be looked at, because what should have been is you should now be having the Dokus and the Mateus Nunez's and the likes becoming those next players, and they've not been. So I think now what you have to look at is, has the recruitment been great? And I was posed this question yesterday and I kind of poo-pooed it and thought, I just rolled my eyes. But maybe it is a serious question. Has Pep been a bit found out? Was the question that I was being asked. Ooh. Has his tactics been a bit found out? Has he now got to evolve into a new system? Not new system, but you know what I mean? Has he got to work out how to beat some of these teams? Arsenal have been a bit the same. Not that we play in a similar style, particularly not this season, but certainly when it comes to a low block, Mikel Arteta struggles. And I think it's quite easy, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So if I'm honest with you, bro, I don't see a quick fix for Manchester City like I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. I was one of those that said all they're going to need to do in the summer, after spending 180 million, whatever it was in January, they'll go and spend another 200 odd in the summer. They'll get the players in and they'll go. But they have actually spent quite a lot of money.
Let me come on to that, because you said a lot there. Let me respond to some of that, yeah? So I have come round to believing that this rebuild is probably not going to be as easy as I initially anticipated. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there is so much to do. Since the treble year, we have neglected the squad. We've neglected it badly. We've not done enough signings. So last summer we only signed 2 players. One was Savio, one was Gundogan. We've not signed enough players, and we've not signed enough good players. If you look at the In fact, let me put it up here so I know what I'm actually talking about. There we go. All transfers, right? So since the treble year, yeah, we bought Guardiola, hit. Nunes, not a hit. Doku, not really a hit. Kovacic, I put him on not a hit purely and simply because he's like a squad rotator. He's not going to elevate us to the next level. Yeah. We've also signed Savinio, not a hit in terms of like right here, right now. Maybe in the next year after, maybe it could be, but right here, right now, no. We've signed Ilkay Gundogan, same as Kovacic, no. And then we've signed Mamouche, who I think is good. Nico Gonzalez, not getting in the team, so he's another no. Huzanov is young, not in the team right now, and Hayes. So since the treble year, effective, what I'm saying is we've signed 2 players, yeah, which have like elevated the team or can come in and keep the team at the same level. Every other player is either young and needs to develop, which is cool. You need a couple of them around the squad. Yeah, every team needs some youth, like, you know, to develop. Old and just like a squad rotator, like a Gundogan or a Kovacic. And again, you need 1 or 2 of them around the squad. Arsenal have Jorginho. We've got Gundogan. You need 1 or 2 of them. And then you've got the others like the Gonzalez, who's not really settled in and stuff. So essentially, we signed 2 like elevators or 2 players that have took us up a level. Simultaneously to all of this, Kevin De Bruyne has declined because of his age. Gundogan has declined because of his age. Foden has fallen off this year. We don't know what's happened to him. Rodri done his ACL. Yeah. Edison don't want to be here. Kyle Walker's gone from being the best fullback or one of the best fullbacks in the world to leaving halfway through the season. Ake can't stay fit. Stones can't stay fit. Yeah, I'm not using injuries as an excuse here. What I'm trying to say is the squad management since the treble year has been diabolical, really. And that is why the club invested that money in January, and that's why they need to invest money in the summer. And my fear, and it's only a fear, is that there's too much to do in this summer transfer window, and we'll be sitting here, I don't know, December time, doing these shows going, I think, yeah, this is another transition year. We're going to need 1 more summer. And that's because we've let the squad decline. When you're on top, you have to keep on top. When you get there, you have to keep investing. You have to keep improving the squad. And unfortunately, the harsh truth for City, and for me as a City fan, and for every other City fan out there, is that we've simply not done that since the treble year. Last year, yeah, we won the league, and obviously you can't take that away from us. But effectively, we were carried by 2 players, Rodri and Foden. Rodri dropped a Ballon d'Or year performance, and Phil Foden dropped a Premier League Player of the Year performance. Yeah, the squad still wasn't great because it declined from the treble year. So, yeah, we'll have to see. I'm hoping and praying.
You want more players than Pep, though, right?
Bro, I've been on these players since early, bro. Yeah, my first video that I did back in October when I realised we was in the mud, yeah, because I clocked this early, yeah. I read that in October. I said it's the players. The players are not good. Now, coming to the point about Pep Guardiola, yeah, and then I'll let you have your views. Pep needs to change his style. But Pep's changed his style loads of times since he's been at City. We've gone from the Sterling Sane days of fast, pacey wingers. We had Mendy, we had Walker, fullbacks flying down. We went from that to the treble year, which was ultimate control. Ake and Walker and Akanji at fullback, Mahrez and Grealish at wingbacks, completely the opposite. So sometimes I hear these people say, "Oh, can Pep change? Can Pep?" Pep's already changed. Pep's already adapted his team plenty of times during his tenure at Manchester City, but he needs to change again next year. Me personally, I believe what he needs to do is get wing backs at this football club, players who can get down the wings and get crosses in from fullback positions, because at the moment it's wingers or bust. If our wingers don't perform, we're cooked.
Do you know what's interesting on the first part about cooking Man City? Like, I'll have a little bit of I didn't know. I wanted Palace to win because they'd never won a trophy before. It had nothing directly to do with it being City and being a rival. Of course, I don't want a rival like City that is winning trophies, been winning trophies by the dozen almost for the past 8-9 years. I don't want you to keep winning. I don't want you to keep picking up trophies, because eventually, if the next 10 years repeats itself again and again, you'll surpass us at some point. I know you're still a long way behind our total trophy haul, but in 10 years' time, that could look very different. So I'm happy from that regard. There's some players to I don't even call it cooking City. I'm not cooking City. I'm talking what I think to be facts. I think that Pep struggled this year because he hasn't had the best squad in the Premier League. For all the reasons you've mentioned, LB, I agree with. I was talking about this last night. I'm not blaming Pep. It's not a dig at Pep. He's just never been in this scenario. He inherited a very good Barcelona squad and made it better. And they were probably the best team. You know, there's a few from the 70s that might argue this, but a lot of people still put that Pep Barca team as the greatest club side of all time. He then moves to Bayern Munich, where they have a financial monopoly and a squad dominance monopoly over every single team in Germany, and they have done for decades. And even when they weren't good enough for the Champions League, they still dominated at a domestic level. He came to England. First year, he was getting his feet under the table. The recruitment was amazing. Some other big clubs, like generally like Chelsea, they fell off after the first year he was here. United have never really mounted a challenge. Liverpool pushed them hard, but that team that he had was amazing. The recruitment, as you say, has been poor. Massive players have dropped off. It's been poor in comparison to the previous time. And I think where Pep struggled is the way he gets his teams to play football. And you're right, there's adaptations. He needs top-class players. He isn't, for me, like a Jose that can go, do you know what? I can win a Champions League with a Porto. Do you know what? I can take an Aberdeen and make them, the Cup Winners' Cup champions and break the stranglehold of the two more financially dominant teams. And I'm not taking that away from Pep, and maybe he can get himself to that point. It's because he's never had to learn to do it, because he walked in at Barca and smashed it day one. He didn't have to do the apprenticeship at the smaller clubs, at the lesser clubs, and develop that know-how. And I think it is a different know-how. I think when you find, players that are always in clubs in relegation battles, they're more battle-hardened to those types of games compared to someone that's always been in teams that wins, which is the famous example of Sol Campbell. Remember when he joined Notts County and it lasted like 2 games and he had to leave? Players that have been at the top, it's so hard for them to go down to that level because it's cold water in the changing rooms, they're changing in car parks, the standard's so low, it's very hard for them to kind of readjust. So I wouldn't even say it's about cooking City. It's just about pointing out what the actual problems are. The recruitment this summer has to be amazing for Pep, because at the end of the day, you're in the Premier League where there isn't a monopoly in the way there is in Spain with the 2 big sides, the way there is in Germany with Barcelona, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. If they get it right this summer, these teams can catch you quickly and leave you behind quickly, because you're not the only side with money. You're not the only team with pull. If Man City if we were like Germany and Man City were the team that had all the money compared to everybody else, even in a year where you drop off, you'd still win the league most likely. And then you slowly build back to the top. So I think you're absolutely spot on. There's a lot of recruitment that's needed, and it needs to be at the very highest level. Where my concern is for City